Hello and welcome back to another video on Untitled Magic Life Sim. I hope you guys had a nice New Year's. I know I did because I spent that time by finally getting some R&R. And now that I've got all this energy, I've got some big plans for the year for my game, and to kick it off, I want to have some fun with shaders. We'll begin by coding a stylized water shader. We'll start by creating two surface textures in Substance Designer. Rest in peace, Algorithmic. I'll always remember and cherish you for the perpetual license I bought before the Adobe acquisition. Now in Unity, we'll have them move in opposing directions with different levels of opacity. Next, we'll give our water some depth by using the depth pass. Every time a frame gets rendered, this special texture is made where each pixel is how far the camera is to that geometry being rendered. This value gets normalized by your camera's near and far clip values. If we remap this distance to a gradient with alpha values, we get this nice volumetric effect. Now, is it truly a water shader if we don't have some intersection foam? Let's use the depth pass again and apply a cutoff function. To get some crispier pixels, we'll sample in a texture before the cutoff function just to create some visual noise. To wrap up the shader, we'll oscillate our vertices in the vert function of our shader to get some movement going. This next feature has been on my wish list for a very long time. I want cloud cover over my game. After some trial and error, I ended up with this screen pass effect. And you may be asking yourself, this looks kinda wrong, and you'd be right. So one day I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across an art post on projection mapping, where you will project visuals onto surfaces. With a little math and our handy depth pass, we can do this too. So let's take a little break from shaders and switch over to Blender. Something I want to practice more this year is sculpting, so I sketched out this rock. I've got a long way to go, so let's flash back to this video when I put out Devlog at the end of the year. While I'm improving on that skill, I can always rely on good old box modeling, which I'm also rusty in. I suppose I'll just be crash coursing two different types of modeling techniques this year. So, what's one more? We might as well add parametric modeling through geometry nodes. I made this new mushroom model, but it's missing the little nodes on the cap. I believe organic models require controlled chaos to look nice. And I could hand place the little dots, but this would get tedious, especially if I want to do another revision on this, or if I just forget my mouse at home and I have to use my trackpad. This is awful. With geometry nodes, we can distribute points on our original mesh, and then instance the dot mesh on each of these points. Some of these points are generating under the mushroom cap though, which isn't ideal, so let's sample the normal of our original mesh. If the normal is facing downwards at all, we'll remove that point. Moving on to trees, we can use the same idea again. We'll distribute points on our original mesh and bring it into Unity, and here we go. Well, something doesn't quite feel right. The wind is pushing our grass and pulling our clouds, so the leaves, they should be moving as well. Now what I could have done is put a random oscillator in the vert function of a shader, but I worry that moving each vertex randomly might mess up the tree's form. With this totally not being an excuse to try another trick from my wish list of cool things to try, we can encode numerical data into our geometry, specifically our vertices. I'm talking about vertex colors. The name is a little dated, as it was a way to bring in color to meshes when textures were too costly to use for hardware. With geometry nodes, we can set the color of each vertex to a random vector value. This will be the direction of where we want our vertex to oscillate towards. However, I only want this to happen to the tips of the leaves. So what we'll do is we'll paint in black a zero vector into the base of our source leaf. In our geometry nodes, we'll read in this color and multiply it against our oscillation color. Now, if you're someone that's interested in technical art, my advice is the sooner you realize everything is just numbers, the better. Take for instance, any painting app that supports layers with different blending modes. It took me far too long to realize that the multiply mode is actually multiplying colors. On the math side, a color is just a list of numbers, which is a vector. So the multiply mode is just component-wise vector multiplication. Isn't it cool how like everything just is connected and works out? Let's get back on track and head back over to Unity. I did a little off-screen modeling while building a better Blender to Unity workflow. That'll be its own video though. Anyways, we've got some larger structures going. Sometimes our character can be fully occluded, and I fear that this will be disorienting for the player. We'll give our player a hint on where their character is by building an X-ray shader through the Stencil buffer. It's technically not a texture, but I think it's easier to explain it as a black and white mask texture. Each of these material renders can write to the Stencil buffer with a color number from 0 to 255. We can check whether or not the player is occluded, and if we are, we'll just re-render our player as a solid color. And with that, I think we're at a good stopping point for graphical programming for this week. While these features aren't super important at all for a minimum viable product, it's nice just to kick back, relax, and make things look pretty. Plus, there are only a few times I can open up a video with the bean, walking through the same grass over and over. Speaking of MVPs, part of this game is going to be ran as my undergrad comp-sci final. I've been building my own procedural animation toolkit, Puppeteer, and I would like to upload a quick demo online to gather feedback on game feel. I'm aiming for an early March release, and if you know you're going to be interested, the description has a survey to sign up for an email list. This really helps me out so I have a rough idea of the numbers, and if you don't want to do that, totally alright. I'm going to have a video up when the demo is actually live. And speaking of videos, I'm going to attempt to go weekly up until the demo release. I arranged my classes this semester so that my last semester would be as easy as I could make it, so I'm feeling pretty good about the workload. Not to mention, I'm not doing my kind of TA job for the math department, so things are so beyond calm right now, and it is so nice. Actually, this video, along with the next two, were originally going to be one big video before I broke it up. I mentioned one part, the Better Blender to Unity workflow video, and the other one, which I haven't mentioned yet, is a code solution to remove component references from your code, but keep them in the Unity inspector. I'm calling this system Watchables, and I think it's going to be a really important piece for my game architecturally. Hey, Future Pat here from editing. I realized I've got a meeting coming up on Friday, so think of these next two videos as they'll come out eventually once things are sorted out. I've got something else planned for next week that's a little bit of a lighter video, so there's that. I'm really excited for how things are looking right now, and I hope to look back at these videos nicely when I'm prepping this game for full release. But I don't think that's going to happen for a while, maybe like 4 or 5 years. If you'd like to support this project and its progression, please consider subscribing, and I hope you guys have a nice rest of your day. I'll see y'all next week.